All right, welcome back to the Radical Fabulatorium. I'm your host, John Adamian, and that was a band called Muna with a song called Kind of Girl. And I'm now sitting here in the live booth with Catherine Kennedy, songwriter from St. John. How's it going, Catherine?
Good, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Little trouble finding the spot?
A little bit. As a St. Johner, I do not know UMB campus.
It's a classic local FM problem, I think.
Fair.
You're not alone, so.
Yeah. Didn't study here, so I have an excuse.
Yeah. So that was a band you suggested.
Yeah.
A song you suggested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about them? We were discussing it a bit. They're kind of like they have some like folky pop stuff going on.
Yeah. I don't know too much about like where they're from or their history, but I discovered them at a songwriters camp last summer.
Cool.
From one of the producers. And yeah, I really like how they kind of walk that line of pop, East Coast, folk, without it feeling too on the radio mainstream all the time.
Yeah.
Something unique about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to blend it pretty well together.
Yeah.
I like it. Cool. All right, so let's plug your show right away before I forget. You got a show coming up May 12th. That's this Friday.
I do.
Yeah, at the Imperial.
Yeah.
So you're doing a Bob Dylan tribute?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or celebration.
Celebration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brent Mason puts it on, and this is the 13th one. I got to do it with my band last year, and this year I'm doing it with Jamie Como.
Cool.
So yeah, that'll be Friday, May 12th, 7, I want to say.
7 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the Imperial.
And is it just the two of you doing the whole set, or is there like a bunch of musicians?
No, there's
playing?
a bunch. Michaela Dagg's going to be playing. Brent Mason's band's going to be playing. Jessica Ray and her band.
Cool.
I mean, they kind of are the wheelhouse of Bob Dylan. She has her Bob Dylan album. So
yeah, that album was received really well, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's going to be a great show.
Cool.
Yeah.
And there's a Bob Dylan cover on your latest record, right?
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Make You Feel My Love.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about. Was that so? It sounds like the production's slightly different on that song. Is it recorded in the same place? Just for my nerdy engineering ears.
It was. I'm trying to think back. It was, but it was a very last minute decision.
Okay.
Like we kind of wanted to put a cover on the album, but weren't quite sure. And it was our last day of recording.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Milner, who recorded the album, was kind of like, what 3 covers would you pick, or what would be your top covers? And that was one of them. And so we were just sitting in the booth and played it live, and I think we recorded a take of it, and it was like, oh, that's the one.
Oh, cool.
And so that made it on the album.
Take one.
I think it was take 1.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's
cool.
probably why it sounded different.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed it was like I would have guessed that the album was live, except maybe that one was like you did it one instrument at a time.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't considered in the concept of the album until it was an afterthought.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah, but happy that we did it.
Yeah, it sounds really nice in the flow of the record.
It's definitely one of my favorite Dylan tunes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I actually don't really know that much Dylan, so
There's
shame
a lot
on me.
to discover.
There's a lot. Yeah,
so much. Yeah.
I try to get my wife to direct me a little bit, but there's too much to go. Every time I put on a record, I'm like, I'm not feeling it.
There's so many. He had so many genres, and every time I go to listen to something, I'm like, this is another one I haven't heard before.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question about a song I came across.
Okay.
It's called Glow. So I saw that it was commissioned by CBC.
Yes.
So you wrote it for them.
I did.
But it's a new song.
It is.
And it's your song.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you familiar with East Coast Music Hour's Story in the Song segment?
No, I'm not. I'm familiar with the show, but I'm not familiar with that segment.
Okay, so they have I'm not sure how many times they've done Story in the Song, but they basically commissioned 8 East Coast songwriters to write a song, and we were all given the same word. So this year's word was emerging.
Okay.
And that's all that they give you is just the one word, and you base a song off of that. And someone kind of leads you through that process. So Aaron Costello was kind of my go-to person to walk me through that and help me kind of learn what production can look like and how to lead that.
Cool.
So I got to actually record the song on the grand piano at the Imperial, and that was really cool. That was a treat.
It was a treat? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a treat.
So that was going to be my next question about the production, actually, because it sounds awesome. Like I feel like even whatever, I don't know what mic they would have used on your voice, but everything, like it sounds more, your voice sounds quite full in that mix.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the goals, was that we would, create an intimacy, even though we were playing in like such a big space. Like the Imperial, especially alone on stage, feels really big.
Yeah.
But vocals and piano were done there, and then my bandmate Josh McKinley did electric, and Andrew Jackson at Halifax did all the horns on it.
Cool.
So that was really fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you record it live, like piano vocals at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like. Do you prefer piano versus acoustic? Have you figured that one out? So obviously you wrote it on piano.
I don't know about preferred. I definitely don't gravitate towards it, just because it feels easier to play acoustic guitar.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's me just being lazy in a stage plot. Yeah.
Being lazy in a stage plot? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do enjoy playing piano, but I would gravitate towards acoustic guitar more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was surprised when I heard that song. Like I thought it sounded really strong, like one of the strongest songs I've heard by you personally. So
thank you.
I thought it was really good.
I guess I've never released a piano song.
Yeah. So exactly. So I was listening to your self-titled record and the EP before it, and then that popped up, not on your Spotify or anything. It's somehow CBC's put it in front of me. Okay. The algorithm just fed it to me.
Yeah, because it's not even really out anywhere except CBC.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So, I was surprised. I thought it sounded awesome.
Thank you.
I saw that Sean Boyer engineered it, or he would have recorded it.
He recorded it.
Yeah. He's been around the scene for a long time.
Yeah. He was so easy and great to work with.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So you're a music therapist too, right?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that affect your music at all, or your writing? And second, maybe another part, and you can maybe answer this if you prefer, but did being involved in music, is that one of the reasons why you chose music therapy, so you could have a career but still be involved in music? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So music therapy was kind of like, how can I have another pathway that's not just performance, because I'm not in a state where I can just perform all the time, nor did I really want to be, just in the bar scene playing late at night.
Yeah.
And so it felt like a really great mix of, I also wanted to do something that like worked with people or helped people. So it's a great day job, and then I can still write and perform on the side to that. Definitely influences a lot of my songwriting. I get to work with so many different people of different ages, populations, backgrounds. So definitely influences what I write about.
Yeah. Cool. Can you like pinpoint a change where what you thought about writing about changed, like the longer you work with the public, or was that, like did your philosophy change, or like how you viewed like what music could do for people, or what, like did that change at all?
I mean, I definitely got to see that like music holds a different place in everybody's life, whether it's emotional or like very much just rhythmic based or encouraging. Like everyone has a different role that music plays for them. So that was really eye-opening. But like I have some songs that I can pinpoint, that was based off of like Senses is based off of Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay.
But sometimes it's like songs are influenced by 10 different things or 10 different people, and it's hard to pinpoint. Yeah,
it's like an amalgamation of some loose ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah,
abstract thought. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned Senses, because I also came across an acoustic performance you did at Marshall Studios.
Marshall Studios, yeah.
That's the song you play, right? Senses?
Yeah.
Is it in a different key?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would, if I'm being honest, I would like to hear like your whole, like if to do an acoustic rendition of your whole last record.
Interesting. I mean, they all originated as just me and acoustic guitar, and it wasn't really till we went to the studio that we put in other parts. Like, they weren't even pre-arranged, really.
Cool. Yeah. It wasn't okay. So you kind of wrote them in the moment. Yeah. Oh, and the record's nothing again, like totally fine with that. But just when I came across that, and I was like, the key is a lower key, maybe, or
I think it might be higher.
Maybe higher.
Yeah.
either way, I was like, man, there's something different. But the vibe in that mix too is really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a hard decision, but definitely a shift for me to go from playing all on my own, because that's what I'd done for so long, and then having a group, having a band. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it the same band on the record that you play with live now?
Yes. Josh ended up doing drums on the record because we didn't have Clinton yet.
Okay.
But then when we did the album release, Clinton joined us and just stuck around.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clinton. Yeah, he's a great drummer.
He is.
Busy guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is he in on Sunday Morning? So I played Sunday Morning Coffee earlier. Would you call that your newest song? Like, I know the CBC one's kind of like...
Other than CBC, that would be the newest one. Yeah.
So would that have the Clinton as the drummer?
That one's kind of an exception, actually. None of my bandmates are on that song. I did that song at Nick Fowler's songwriting camp, the Tech Productions, Tech Studios. Yeah, yeah. So I was working with Eric Hubert and Adam Washburn on that one.
Oh, Adam Washburn.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I just met him at my other part-time job.
Oh, cool.
Was he in a band called, was he in the Playdates? Does that sound right?
I know the Playdates, but I couldn't confidently say yes or no.
I feel like he might have been. I feel like that's what, if it's the person I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Was he friends with Aaron? Do you know Aaron Kyle?
I don't.
Does that sound familiar?
No,
okay.
sorry.
Right. I'll go down
Usually that rarely happens in St. John, but...
Yeah. I played with him a bit, and then we both ended up working at the pulp mill as, like, I'm assuming, like, well, got to make money somehow. So, anyway. And then that's funny, Adam Washburn. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so we kind of wrote that one all together.
And then that's like a camp he does, or like, camp's not the right word, but like a thing he does, like a collaboration thing he does every year, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think he's even done one every couple months now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. For that one, we were all put into a pod or in a room and got together in the morning, and by the end of the day, that's what we had.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of whatever comes out.
Yeah.
Put it to tape.
Follow it. And Eric he was doing the production and doing a lot of the like lo-fi beats that are in the song. That's never been a genre I've explored at all, but it was really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was Eric. Was that what was his name?
Eric Hubert.
Is that the same person involved in the CBC song that you mentioned earlier? Glow.
No. You mean that played on it?
You mentioned sorry, this is getting like
That's
going back to the CBC song. You mentioned someone was like showing you how the production could be.
Oh, sorry, that was Erin Costello.
Oh, Erin Costello.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, she's based out of Halifax. And,
cool.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's a singer herself and phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we circle back to that for a second?
Yeah.
So what do you mean she what did she show you, or like what did she teach you? Like how did it affect it?
Well, she taught me that it's okay to not know a lot of things, because I definitely feel it's a very daunting experience to, as a songwriter, feel really confident in that small area, but then you go into the recording world, or even just like stage plots and setup, like anything tech related, and that's like a whole nother can of worms. So yeah, she taught me that it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to ask questions. And just really simple things like, why do I hear this specific sound at this time? Like, what could be affecting that? And going into what the effect might be. Maybe there's EQ on it, or compression, or all the fun fancy words that I don't know about. Yeah.
You're talking about something like pops out as you're listening to the mix. You're like, oh, what's going on there?
Yeah. Just like having the language, the vocabulary to pinpoint what it is that you hear. Yeah. That's instead of just saying like, what's that little scratchy sound?
Exactly. Yeah. It's good to have that skill set so you can communicate.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like there are like in the studio, I feel like, and maybe you're learning this now, like there's rules, but there aren't. Like once you know a few of the rules, you know that you kind of learn that there aren't really any rules, and then you can start to trust your ear more. Yeah. And just how you feel about something. Yeah. And I find that approach pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like there's so many different philosophies on recording, and they each have their own pros and cons.
Yeah. It's kind of like an art form in its own.
Yeah.
And as long as you avoid all the major pitfalls, and it's kind of
you're
just
doing
like,
all right.
Yeah. Does it sound good? Then it is good, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting learning about that side of things. So when you're in the studio, did you ever get like imposter syndrome or anything, especially since you were like you felt out of your comfort zone in the studio?
Definitely.
I find imposter syndrome fascinating.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, I know that I can write music and I can sing it too, but I don't know how to explain to you what I hear right now, and I'm just gonna apologize a billion times.
Apologize, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have the language to explain this, but and then go on a 30-second tangent about something. But in all those experiences, the people I've worked with have been really like understanding and patient and want to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best
Everyone
people
has
do
their
want.
skill set. So
Yeah.
yeah. And it's not mine.
Yeah.
Nor is it really something I want to dive into. Like know the basics, and that feels good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like, or have you had any recording experiences where because you didn't feel like you were comfortable with the language and stuff, that slowly but surely someone else was taking control of the process? And not in like a malicious way per se or anything, but
just to make sure that it goes somewhere. Yeah, definitely that's happened. And sometimes, that can go so far that you realize by the end of the project that you're not where you wanted to be with it, or it didn't turn out the way you expected. And I think that happens a lot with art, especially like I can perform something the way I want, but it might not be captured that way in a recording. And sometimes that sucks, and sometimes it just gives listeners a different way to hear the song. Yeah,
I agree. I'm reading an interesting book by Jeff. Here it is. How to Write One Song.
Oh, Jeff Tweedy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So another band.
I've heard a lot about this book, actually.
Yeah, yeah, have you?
Yeah.
I'm only but it's a pretty small book.
I haven't read it, but I've heard it's great.
It's worth it. Yeah, it seems pretty cool. Wilco's another one of those bands that I'm just like, I don't know, I don't get it, I guess. I don't really like Wilco. But his philosophy seems pretty interesting. And he talks about that, how like he tries to write and record every day. And like in the moment while he talks about how the most important thing is just being in that creative space. So he's like accepted the fact that most of his creations the next day are going to be like not bad, but they're probably not going to go anywhere. But because he got to hang out in that creative space for a few hours the day before, it's kind of like it's a win. Yeah. And then every once in a while, one of his ideas turns into a song that he feels could be arranged and put out to the world. Right. But the art, he in his mind. And he actually talks about how, like, obviously he's in a position of privilege a little bit with his career now. So he can be like, it's just about writing music for 4 hours a day. That's what it's all about. But and
have something to fall back on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he admits that. And, but I'm sure they worked their butt off in the beginning to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
To get where they wanted to go.
Yeah. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And when you get too focused on the business, it can get a little messy. Yeah. Yeah.
Or takes away from the creativity.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it easily can be a distraction.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll throw in a tune.
Sure.
Want to listen to a song?
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to be selfish and play one of your songs, the song that I enjoy the most. This is my favorite song that I've heard.
Which one is it?
Squatters' Rights.
Ah, okay.
I know it's going way...
An
oldie. So you recorded this in Halifax?
I did. My goodness. Where did I record this at? In Halifax.
Yep. Did you do it just acoustic to keep it simple, or you wanted them to be?
I think at that time I was just looking for something that I could send to like event planners and festivals, something that showcased what I could do. And at the time I wasn't with the band, so it was just me. And this was a good snapshot into that. Cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to be selfish and play it if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's what I want to hear. All right, Squatters' Rights by Catherine Kennedy.
In this short town, what am I to do? I own everything except for you. No dotted line to sign my name. At least I can't sign my life away. But as time's passed, I've gained some power. I've built things up, planted trees and flowers. But time makes you weaker and time brings you down. It's only on my side 'cause I stuck around. And now I've got squatters' rights on your heart, on your love, on this place and on you. But not because I own it, because I never left. And anyone could come along, be considered a threat. But I've got squatters' rights on your heart, on your love, on this place and on you. But not because you love me, because you never left. You're too scared to be lonely. What's so wrong with that? I'll tell you. Now I've got squatters' rights on you. And this is where the trouble comes. You've left me now, but I'm not gone. 'Cause I occupied you for so long that now you can't seem to move along. But you'll try and try and you'll try again. Move coast to coast and go end to end. But I never really had you. No, you were never mine. It was all a twisted joke played on you by time. And now I've got squatters' rights on your heart, on your love, on this place and on you. But not because I own it, because I never left. And anyone could come along, be considered a threat. But I've got squatters' rights on your heart, on your love, on this place and on you. But not because you love me, because you never left. You're too scared to be lonely. What's so wrong with that? Oh, what's so wrong with that? 'Cause now I've got squatters' rights on your heart, on your love, on this place and on you. But not because I own it, because I never left. And anyone could come along, be considered a threat. But I've got squatters' rights on your heart, on your love, on this place and on you. But not because you love me, 'cause you never left. You're too scared to be lonely. What's so wrong with that? Well, now I've got squatters' rights. Now I've got squatters' rights. Now I've got squatters' rights on you.
All right, that was Squatters' Rights by Catherine Kennedy, who is still sitting across from me in the live booth here at Local FM. So that's from her, would you call that your debut EP?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that.
4-track acoustic EP. It's a nice listen. It's called 50-50 Chance, so you can go hunt that one down. So just while that song was playing, we were talking about anxiety. Yeah. I feel like that's a huge... Do you think So some people are born with the gift to perform.
Yeah.
And like I asked this to Kylie Fox and she was like, no, because she grew up in like a performing household, I guess.
Right.
But I find that anxiety thing interesting because you mentioned you had it when you were starting out,
Yeah.
but you overcame it.
To a certain extent.
You still feel it a little bit?
I still get nervous.
You still get nervous?
Yeah. But less so.
Like, what would you tell? So you've somewhat overcome it, obviously, because you didn't give up.
Yeah.
So what would you tell someone that was in the stage you were in at that point? Like, was there something you did to just power through it? Was it like willpower, or you didn't have a choice? You had to keep performing, or what?
I think it's finding, does it bring me enough joy and happiness to keep going? And for me, it was like, yeah, I still love it enough to push through that. And I think the biggest thing is like finding your niche or finding your environment that's going to feel good. Like in my early days of playing like 4-hour sets at Mexi's from 10 to 2 a.m., those were like super anxiety inducing because I was playing to people that didn't care.
Yeah.
And I didn't, well, as a songwriter, it sucks to play to people that don't care.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I'm going to curate shows that, maybe there's only 10 people, but each person in the crowd is listening.
Yeah.
And then I'll feel less anxious because they care.
Yeah. That's an interesting approach. Yeah, because some people want to play in front of as many people as possible, but if
I
people
could care
don't,
less.
yeah, you don't care, right? You'd rather the connection.
Honestly, like little house shows are my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's pretty punk rock. That's kind of like a punk rock ethos. I have buddies who they're in touring hardcore and punk bands, and I bet they would say 50-50 of their 50% of their shows are house shows, and they're always a good time.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to play a big stage and it feels good, but probably 90% of like my best show or like favorite memories are like house concerts or small cafes, and getting to like make eye contact with every single person or talk to them after the show because there's only 25 or 30 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that a lot.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I bet a lot of musicians, I mean, that you would, if the more success you find, that disappears, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah.
So
you're
that
selling out
yeah.
halls or whatever.
Yeah. You don't get to interact with everyone like that.
Yeah.
So I bet a lot of musicians end up missing it when they, you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
I'm sure they're having a great time.
Sure.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'm sure it's one of those complaining about a good situation.
Right.
Yeah.
There's beauty in both.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So we got a couple minutes left here. I'm curious have you ever had like a paradigm shift in your music? Like a moment where you either heard a band or you had some moment of clarity where it kind of like flipped a switch and you decided to take a different path?
Oh, that's a great question. I can't like think of a specific moment or group or inspiration, but I do know that there was a time where I realized that just because I've always done acoustic guitar, like folk singer songwriter, doesn't mean that that's all I can do. And, it's okay to dabble in other genres. I'd kind of created this box around what I was allowed or able to write.
Okay.
And so just like we talked about earlier, I think like the rules, it's like once you take away some of the rules, it opens up a whole nother, level of creativity. So I've been having a lot of fun playing around with like R&B a little bit, soul, and kind of taking those influences with folk and figuring out how they can fit together in a way that still feels like true to the art I want to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. It always seems so easy to just like do what's true to you. Like I feel like everyone wants to pursue that, or that's probably not true. I bet some people don't care about that at all, but
they do what other people want.
They do or they do what they think other people want.
Right.
That actually reminds me of on a podcast they were talking about perfectionism, and how that's like usually like kind of being a perfectionist is kind of like a way to be lazy but feel like you're like accomplishing things, because you're like, oh well, I can't release it till it's perfect. And then they were talking about how there's different forms of perfectionism where like you might be altering what your output is based on the opinions of others, which is like the negative form of perfectionism. And then the positive one would be like you're modifying your output because you're trying to understand and learn your process better. So the feedback that's modifying your perfectionism is like for the greater good, for internal growth versus like external reward. And I'd never heard of someone like
big picture.
Yeah, I'd never heard of someone like bifurcating.
Dividing it.
Yeah, dividing perfectionist. I just always assumed it was like a negative perfectionism.
I guess society, we do kind of put it that way.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Cool. Well, we're almost out of time. It's almost 9 o'clock.
Well, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, no problem. This was fun.
Yeah.
So we already plugged your show.
We did. Yeah. Friday.
Friday. Yes, this Friday. You can get tickets online probably.
On the Imperial box office site.
And that's on
or
the
in
Imperial
person.
Box. Okay.
Yeah.
In person. That's this Friday.
This Friday.
May 12th.
At the Imperial.
At the Imperial. We think it happens at 7 p.m.
We think it happens at 7.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks for coming in, Catherine.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, this has been the Radical Fabulatorium. We're going to pick up a song to fade out to. Actually, let's go with the other song you brought, Maggie Rogers,
Begging for Rain. Yeah.
So, and you're going to see her soon?
I am this summer.
Cool.
And love her.
All right, this is Begging for Rain by Maggie Rogers.